Thank you. We're going to next move to Mr. Thomas Schatz, who is president of the Citizens Against Government Waste. Mr. Schatz represents an organization wholly focused on working to root out and eliminate government waste. Mr. Schatz himself has played a big part in those efforts. In almost 3 decades, he's been working with CAGW. Mr. Schatz has a law degree from George Washington and a bachelor's degree from the State University of New York at Binghamton. Mr. Schatz.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member Baldwin, Senators Ayotte and Ernst. Very much appreciate the opportunity to be here today, especially with my colleagues who have contributed a great deal to this effort, and we're always happy to work together with both you and them to achieve our mutual goals. I am Tom Schatz, president of Citizens Against Government Waste, an organization that was founded in 1984 by J. Peter Grace and Jack Anderson to follow up on the implementation of recommendations made by President Ronald Reagan's President's Private Sector Survey on Cost Control, which is why it became known as the Grace Commission. It is no secret that wasteful spending is pervasive throughout the federal government, and every agency could perform its functions more effectively and efficiency. Recommendations to eliminate waste, fraud, abuse, and mismanagement are provided regularly by government agencies and the private sector. For example, since 1993, Citizens Against Government Waste has released Prime Cuts, the latest version of which identifies 601 recommendations that would save taxpayers $639 billion in 1 year and $2.6 trillion over 5 years. And to your point, as Chairman Paul, about making recommendations for wasteful spending, we send recommendations from Prime Cuts on a regular basis when appropriations bills are heading to the floor, suggesting amendments that could be considered by the House. We haven't done it for the Senate because I haven't really done appropriations, so we look forward to be able to do that this year. And while my written statement covers numerous systematic and legislative efforts to eliminate wasteful spending, today I'm going to focus on agriculture. Proponents of the 2014 Farm Bill claim that it reformed many programs, but that certainly was not true about the sugar program. Nothing was done whatsoever. This is an outdated and wasteful program that provides price supports, tariffs, quotas, loans, and domestic marketing allotments that have artificially inflated the price of sugar to about 40% higher than the world price, costing consumers about $3.5 billion annually between 2009 and 2012 for sugar-containing products, and thousands of jobs have been lost in industries that use sugar, particularly candy manufacturers. And sugar producers forfeited $152 million worth of sugar to the USDA in September and October 2013. In March 2015, CBO forecasts that the U.S. sugar program will cost taxpayers an additional $115 million over the next 10 years. And as my friend Steve Ellis has pointed out, in most cases, Farm Bill savings, quote unquote, have been vastly underestimated, and I think TCS said $450 billion for the 2004-2008 bill, so we know these numbers are not going to be achieved. And despite efforts in both the House and the Senate, and even in President Obama's budget, to eliminate or reduce spending for the Market Access Program, this program survives. It is a poster child for corporate welfare. MAP has delivered advertising subsidies to companies such as Blue Diamond, Butterball, Dole, McDonald's, Pillsbury, Sunkist, Tyson, and Welch clearly can afford their own advertising overseas. One of the most absurd examples under MAP was the $20 million provided to the Cotton Council International in 2011, some of which was used to create an Indian reality TV show in which designers created clothing made from cotton in order to promote the general use of cotton, but not necessarily cotton from the U.S. And remember, this is U.S. taxpayer dollars. In fact, India produces twice the amount of U.S. cotton growers and is a net exporter. Perhaps the most outrageous waste of money under MAP was in the early 90s, $3 million provided to the California Raisin Board to air in Japan those well-known ads featuring dancing raisins singing "I Heard It Through the Grapevine." Couldn't be translated into Japanese, so it ran in English and was therefore incomprehensible. Children thought the fingers were potatoes or chocolate, and there was something about cutting off fingers, some criminal syndicates in Japan. In any event, it ended up costing $2 for every dollar's worth of raisins that even reached the store shelves, let alone some. So if those two examples are not embarrassing enough to really get rid of MAP, maybe there'll be more, but it's something that really should be terminated. Taxpayers shouldn't be doing any of this. It costs $200 million a year. Eliminating it would save $1 billion over 5 years. Another area we have looked at is stimulus broadband grants and loans to the Rural Utility Service, $2.5 billion to RUS. March 2013 USDA Inspector General report noted that numerous projects overbilled next to existing private sector competitors and providers. and they approved 10 projects worth more than $91 billion that couldn't even be completed within the 3-year time frame. Steve mentioned the regional authorities, in particular the Delta Regional Authority established in 2000. It's supposed to improve conditions in the economy for 10 million people residing in 252 counties and parishes in 10 Mississippi Delta states, duplicates other programs, and really shouldn't be funded. It's had earmarks worth $17.8 million and something else that should be done. But in terms of what Congress should do, better stewardship of the taxpayers' money should be what every member of the House and Senate considers every day, thinking first and foremost how to better manage the taxpayers' money and solve problems effectively with the resources that are already allocated, rather than doing what unfortunately members of both parties have done, which is to create a new program to solve a problem. Let's determine how to solve the problem first, look at what's out there. With $4 trillion, there has to be enough money to do what needs to be done. And thank you, appreciate it, and happy to work with the committee on additional recommendations.